It's finally here, the Choose Your Legends 4 banner is officially out, and we did get some neat new information to talk about. For the new feature banner, we have Brave Lysithea, Brave Claude, Brave Edelgard, and Brave Dimitri. We will be going over everything new in full like always, so we'll discuss stats, skills, plus some build ideas. Forgive me for repeating myself. If you did not watch the recent Fate channel, you should know that for this banner, the 40 summon spark mechanic can be used 4 times. You can get a focus hero of your choosing at 40, 80, 120, and 160 summons, so if you are going to go hard in the art of spending, you will get a nice little bonus. However, you can only pick each winner 1 time, so you can't grab the same unit multiple times. Keep in mind, this is in addition to the usual 1 free pick that every Choose Your Legends has, so you could get 2 out of the 4 winners just by doing 40 summons. Starting us off is Brave Lysithea. We did get a lot of info about her beforehand, so most of this info won't be new. Lysithea is going to still be a red infantry mage, and for stats, she has 40 HP, 40 attack, 39 speed, 21 defense, and 25 resistance. She will have an attack and speed super boon, which is nothing surprising, and either one is going to be great to have. Lysithea is going to be an incredibly deadly red mage, and for someone with so much attack and speed, her defensive stats aren't super low. She does have more base stats than normal, and that goes for everyone on this banner, which signifies we are probably in Gen 5 BST now. For old skills, Lysithea has Moonbow as her special, and she is ready to obliterate people with attack and speed push 4 and low speed and res 3. Combined together, that's effectively another plus 10 attack and speed, and enemies can't hide behind speed and res field buffs. For her C skill, Lysithea has Hone Speed 4, which is a perfectly fine supportive skill. For her weapon, Brave Lysithea comes with her infamous Dark Spike spell. It's a 14 white tome, and it's effective against cavalry units, so poor Death Knight is still going to get obliterated. Dark Spikes does grant plus 3 speed, which puts Lysithea at 42 speed naturally, which is pretty scary. However, at the start of combat, if the foe has more than 75% HP, Lysithea is going to get another plus 6 attack and speed. Additionally, if Lysithea has less than full health and initiates, she makes a guaranteed follow-up attack before the foe can counter. Overall, Dark Spikes grants a very easy to activate plus 6 attack and speed boost. It also has a better desperation ability, and it grants a free follow-up to a ridiculously fast unit. The reason for that follow-up is to allow Lysithea to get past follow-up prevention skills like Wary Fighter. It's not no follow-up, so it's not as strong as Summer Violet or Mini Merrick's tomes, but it's still a great bonus to have to complement the desperation effect. All in all, Brave Lysithea is our simplest unit here to understand. She's a very fast, high damage mage that can abuse desperation to blow up enemies on the player phase. With just Dark Spikes active, Lysithea already hits 60 attack and 48 speed, which is disgusting because if you account for attack and speed push 4 and low speed and res, that's another plus 10 to each stat basically. The push skills recoil damage will also put Lysithea in her desperation range after 1 round guaranteed. Now, while the tier 4 push skills are incredibly strong, they do only work when above 25% HP, so dipping below that is not ideal. Eventually, due to the recoil damage or just enemy counterattacks, Lysithea is going to go under 25% HP, so for that reason, it may be better to just run Fury if you want to use Lysithea in longer PvE fights. That makes it easier to work with brazen skills and also lets dancers with Wings of Mercy warp to Lysithea. Because Desperation is built into the Dark Spikes weapon, you can also run Escape Route in the B slot to let Lysithea teleport to her own teammates. However, low speed and res is just a super strong skill, so most times you're probably going to want to keep it. For Sacred Seals, you could just pile on the damage with Swift Sparrow or Death Blow, or if you want to keep specials going, then Flashing Blade is great since it also synergizes with Desperation and 2 cooldown specials. Speaking of specials, you could run Times Pulse or Special Spiral, but those are not necessary, and regular Lysithea is better for the instant special playstyle you would see on defense teams. Brave Lysithea is better in the hands of the player, and if you can't stop Desperation, she can just output so much damage. While she doesn't introduce any new abilities, it's really hard to argue with just how much pure attack and speed she has, and she's going to be another really scary mage I prefer not to have to tank. Second, we have Brave Claude, who we also got a good amount of info on beforehand. He is a flying colorless archer and he's going to have 42 HP, 36 attack, 40 speed, 23 defense, and 25 resistance. Claude will also have speed and res super boons, so have fun chasing those. Now, in terms of stats, Brave Claude is a monster because we don't get many ranged flyers with bows or daggers. Claude's BST looks ridiculous in comparison. He has 166 BST and the next closest flying archer only has 156 BST. He is quite literally a different breed of flying archer, and his stats are really solid for any offensive archer in general. For old skills, Claude has Moonbow and Fury 4 for even more stats. He also also has chill speed and defense, which will target the speedier foes with good defense stats that would have had a better chance at surviving Claude's assault. Claude's unique bow is the Wind Party, and it's a very neat weapon. It accelerates specials, and if Claude initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, then he gains +5 to all stats during combat. Additionally, if Claude deals damage with a special, he restores 50% of his max HP. So for the most part, Wind Party is very easy to activate since it's always active on the player phase, and you just need one nearby ally for the enemy phase. Claude then gets a big old +5 to all stats, and anytime he procs his 1 cooldown Moonbow, he's going to heal over 50% of his max health. That is just incredibly good and will make Claude much harder to finish off because 50% of his base 42 HP is 21 health. That is a lot of healing on top of all the extra stats he gets, and Claude is super fast, which is always nice. The fact that he heals for 50% of his max HP means high investment from merges or summoner support are really helpful, and then you can get extra HP in certain game modes like Aether Raids. The best way to stop Claude from abusing this ability is to stop him from proccing specials with Guard. Of course, he may just kill you from all his bonus stats regardless. Next, Claude brings us a new C-skill called Attack and Speed Ryan 3 and inflicts -4 attack and speed on foes within 2 spaces during combat. Alrighty, so this skill is only inheritable by flyers, but it includes melee and ranged flyers. This is a really nice flyer only skill line, and it's going to be very enticing for those flyers that want even more stat advantages. As a bonus, these Ryan skills can help allies out, which is nice since flyer balls like to clump together, so if you can get the right positioning, you can spread these same debuffs all over the place. For this attack and speed variant, it's a nice option for speedier flyers that can take a couple hits. The attack debuffs help tank more physical or magical damage, and the speed debuffs will obviously help avoid doubles or secure more follow-ups of your own. Moving on to builds and playstyles, Claude is playing a very sneaky game of just being way harder to kill than he should be. The large amount of bonus attack, speed, defense, and res in combination with the insane healing from a 1 cooldown special will keep Claude alive much longer than your average damage dealer. He has tons of attack and speed to dish out pain from the air, but he can also heal a ton since it's always 50% of his max health. Claude doesn't have to worry about overkill damage on low HP foes. He can literally kill a 1 HP foe with a Moonbow, and he's still going to get a large amount of HP back. This makes Claude's playstyle incredibly fun, and he can do well in the player phase or enemy phase since Wind Parthia, Fury 4, and Attack and Speed Ryan can be active all the time. For the player phase, you initiate, and even if Claude takes a counterattack, he can proc Moonbow on his follow-up attack, which is going to heal them back up for 21 HP. On the enemy phase, Claude tanks a hit, then immediately counters with Moonbow, which is going to restore his health as well. The one main drawback with Fury 4 is that it has a nasty -8 recoil damage. You could run Mystic Boost since chill speed and defense isn't a must-keep skill, and that would cut the recoil down from 8 to 2, which is more manageable. It's not the worst deal since Claude doesn't really have a perfect B skill to run since Desperation and Advantage are kinda out of the question with Wind Parthia's healing. Of course, Claude could also run Flyer Formation or Aerobatics if you want to be super annoying with all that team mobility. For Sacred Seals, Out Shield doesn't actually seem to be that bad of a choice since we have the extra stat debuffs from Attack and Speed Ryan. While Claude can tank with his heals, a strong arrow to the knee is going to put him down before he gets the fire back, so I could definitely see Claude running Iota Shield. The one intriguing build for Brave Claude that's been floating around is a close counter or close foil build. The general stat boost from Wind Parthia and Attack and Speed Ryan, plus Claude's ability to heal half his max HP relatively often should be really neat with the ability to counter melee attackers. It would definitely be a fun setup, and I'm sure it would work even better with some team support. Overall, Brave Claude is a super interesting unit, a flying archer with a ton of stats, but he also has some staying power since he can heal for a lot and do it nearly every round of combat. I do think you'll see this guy around, and if you try to tank him, you either need to stop his special procs completely or reply with your own high damage specials to burst him down. For our third winner, we have Brave Edelgard. She's an X armor unit, and we finally learned what her stats are. 80 has 46 HP, 45 attack, 16 speed, 43 defense, and 35 resistance. That is not a typo. Brave Edelgard has a base 45 attack, which is just insane, and it's obviously our new highest base attack in the game. Surprisingly, no attack super boon, but she does have a defense super boon, and it turns out that 43 base defense is also the new highest in the game as well. With 35 res and only 16 speed, Brave Edelgard is super min-max, and let's just say that she's going to be really tanky, and she's going to hit you really hard. For old skills, Edelgard has Noontime and Distant Ward. That's going to give her distant counter abilities, but only against mages and healers. For her axe, Edelgard has the Flower Hot Declare. It accelerates special trigger and grants a couple abilities if Edelgard is above 25% HP. For one, she can move 1 extra space, and second, she gets a status that lets her move next to any ally within 2 spaces. Both are going to give Brave Edelgard incredible mobility, and she can fly in for some sneak attacks with her teammates in the right position. Additionally, Edelgard will also inflict -6 attack and defense on the enemy during combat. All in all, Flower Hot Declare gives impressive mobility for an army unit, and Edelgard is going to take less damage and deal more damage herself. very solid weapon. For her unique B skill, Black Eagle Roll, this also requires Edelgard to be above 25% HP. She's gonna get a guaranteed follow-up attack, and if the foe initiates combat, Edelgard also gets to reduce their follow-up attack damage by 80%. First off, Black Eagle Roll basically gives free follow-ups on both phases, which Edelgard loves because she only has 16 speed. On the enemy phase, she will be tough to finish off because the foe's follow-up attack is gonna lose 80% of its punch, and Edelgard has noontime to heal up in between attacks. Very solid B skill, no reason not to keep it, and it works great with her axe. Last skill Edelgard introduces is Joint Drive Res. It grants +4 res to allies within 2 spaces, and if the user is within 2 spaces of any ally, they themselves get the same +4 res boost. Very nice C skill, and Joint Drives can work on any unit if you're in the need for that specific stat. It will go great with Edelgard's good base resistance. Now, knowing Edelgard's stats, it doesn't change too much for her. She is super min-maxed, and Black Eagle Roll lets Edelgard have some player phase power too, so it's a great skill to hold on to. You should probably keep Noontime since it will be on a 1 cooldown, but maybe Solar Aether could also be fine. I think Distant Word is fine, but obviously it's just nicer to be able to KO those bow and dagger units too, instead of having to chase them down later. Edelgard has so much attack and res that I don't really think the boss vibe from Distant Word is going to be sorely missed. I would say her Sacred Seal slot is flexible since you can just stack on more defense and res, or you can add even more attack because why not? Since Edelgard needs to stay above 25% HP, something like a Brazen Scale could be fun just to make it even harder to finish her off and give Edelgard some time to heal back up. If you want to play more aggressively, she could also run Gale Force with Heavy Blade since Flower Hauteclair is a slaying weapon. Edelgard may end up just one-shotting some poor squishy unit, however, 2 hits will be enough to proc Gale Force, and she can pretty much always have 2 movement to make good use of it. I think that mobility is definitely one of her best traits, and she can use the warping ability to initiate well since she gets a follow-up attack anyway. Edelgard is actually quite good on either phase of the game, so she would be a fun axe arm unit to have around. With her incredibly high stats combined with solid mobility and follow-up attacks, Brave Edelgard makes for a very neat all-around arm unit. Last up is Brave Dimitri, and the big question about him was what is his stats gonna look like? Turns out this infantry lancer has 41 HP, 40 attack, 36 speed, 40 defense, and 19 resistance. I didn't think they would actually give Dimitri some speed, but 36 is more than what I expected. It's not insanely fast, but it's very workable if you want to build more speed, which can be helpful with the rest of his kit. Now, unsurprisingly, he does come with a crazy high 40 base attack and defense. Both of them have super boons. To get his speed up, Dimitri did have to sacrifice some res, and 19 is skirting on the low side. Overall, Dimitri is going to be much more flexible lancer than what some would have first thought. He does need to focus on one specific stat, but I do think the guy has some options now. For his old skills, Dimitri has Noontime and Joint Hone Attack. A self-buffing attack skill is always nice to have. For his weapon, Dimitri has the Moon Grativis, which comes with 2 main effects. 1, it has distant counter, so Dimitri can counter ranged threats. 2, it grants special cooldown charge +1 per foe's attack. Now, this is the same cooldown reduction effect as Owain's Mistletoe or Rinka's Club. It's not steady breath, and Dimitri needs to get hit to get his cooldown reduction. Still, having DC and special cooldown on a weapon is potent, and that leaves Dimitri's A slot open for some fun skills. For his unique B skill, Dimitri has Blue Line Roll. It is a defense version of the close call line of skills, which means Dimitri can get up to 40% damage reduction if he has 10 or more res than his opponent. With 40 base defense plus a defense super boon, Dimitri can certainly get Blue Line Roll to activate against most units who aren't just pure tanks. He should easily have it fully active against squishy mages, so that should help offset his lower base res stat. Blue Line Roll is also going to come with a quick riposte effect, so on the enemy phase, Dimitri always has a free follow-up attack. Combined with a distant counter lance, Dimitri will be fine waiting for the enemy to strike first. Now, for his new inheritable A skill, Dimitri has attack and defense unity. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 attack and defense and a bonus to attack and defense equal to the current penalty on each of those stats times 2. At its base level, this unity skill has the same stat boost as our bond skills, but with the 2 space range of the form skills. On top of that, the user can completely wipe out attack and defense debuffs, and they actually just get stronger since they double the debuff value in positive buffs. Attack and defense unity should work with Fallen Ike's Chaos Ragnar since the effects are the same, but I don't think Ike needs the skill since his starting breath is already pretty good. For Dimitri, attack and defense unity strengthens his 2 best stats, and most importantly, it protects Dimitri's defense stat from being lowered, which gives Blue Line Roll the best chance of succeeding. Definitely a strong skill for him. For the most part, Brave Dimitri has that simple enemy phase quick riposte plus distant counter tank playstyle. He gets special cooldown for being hit, and he can hit back twice while also having damage reduction against low defense enemies. Now with the reveal that he has 36 base speed, you can get a bit more creative with Dimitri's build, at least in the Sacred Seal slot, and what buffs you give him. With a speed boon, he'll have 39 speed, and that can really help him score follow-ups in the player phase, which would be nice and makes him feel more well-rounded as a unit. You could add on speed and res solo, and both the plus 6 speed and plus 6 res helps Dimitri out. You can even get route speed and defense in the C slot, which is another speed boost, and a little more defense doesn't hurt to keep Blue Lion Row active. Suddenly, Brave Dimitri has crept into the upper 40s and low 50s for speed, and that's an amazing spot all things considered. While not necessary, builds with some extra speed can give Dimitri a better player phase, and it helps keep him from being doubled by nearly every major dragon with decent speed. Fewer doubles for an enemy is great, and it means we can worry about his lowest res stat a little less. Now while that's all fine and dandy, Dimitri does ideally want to keep a high defense stat. That's where attack and defense unity comes in, and it's really hard to not keep this skill. Being able to turn debuffs on their head is just so good, and while it keeps Dimitri's defense stat high, it also adds to his high base attack as well. Unfortunately, its 2-space range is going to limit more offensive usage, so I think Brave Dimitri is going to be more of an enemy phase unit by nature, even if you build extra speed. There are some speed and defense increase in A skills like steady posture or speed and defense solo, but I don't know if you want to abandon that unity A skill. As for specials, depending on how much damage you think Dimitri can take, you could swap to Aether. I have run my Ross with the Huge Fan, Aether, and Heavy Blade combo, which Dimitri can also replicate. It's not perfect special timing, but it has worked out. If you still want a 2 cooldown special, then you could also change to Glimmer and maybe score a 1-shot counterattack, perhaps if you feel like stacking attack for Dimitri instead. As the old saying goes, you don't need more speed if you kill them in one hit, or something like that. Overall, Brave Dimitri is a solid lance unit. You can focus purely on attack and defense, or you can have some fun with a bit more speed. Facing Dimitri as an enemy unit, if he keeps his standard setup, if you can bait him away from his team, then he should be much more manageable. A high defense dragon would be great, or if you can survive his counterattack, a fast mage could also burst through Blue Land Roll. Assuming we get legendary Dimitri sometime in the future, I suppose we still have to wait and see what exactly Atrocity ends up bringing to the game. If you are going to be summoning, then I wish you good luck. We do have a very strange Grand Hero battle coming up where you can get George. He's a blue archer, and he also has his own unique bow, so we'll have some fun things to talk about. For myself, I will be blowing all my orbs on this Brave banner, and hopefully I can get everyone here. Now that we finally know everything about them, let me know your final thoughts on these CYL4 heroes. I'm very happy with all of them, and I can't wait to try them out. That's all for now. I'll see you guys in the next video.